Hello everyone and thanks for dropping by the video. I hope your season 6 of GBL is going well for you and that you're enjoying the extended season. I made this video today to talk about my run to legend where I started at 29-27 and wound up pulling off a 10-0 run to get me well above that threshold to reach the highest rank. So the team that I'm going to be running is not my own. It is made by FP Sticks, which is another great content creator and very high on the leaderboards. And I was really interested in this team of Venusaur, Sableye, and Galarian Stunfisk. So these have pretty standard movesets, so I'll put them on the left side of the screen. And as you know, Venusaur will be carrying Vine Whip, Sludge Bomb, and Frenzy Plant, Galarian Stunfisk with Mud Shot, Rock Slide, and Earthquake, and finally Sableye with that exclusive move of Return that you can only get through the Rocket Stops. The important thing to note is that with some team differences, my Galarian Stunfisk is an attack-weighted one with 11, 10, 10 IVs. This allows it to hit a Mud Shot breakpoint against Registeel, which is probably not so relevant, but it actually wound up mattering in one of the matches on my way up. And of course, with Sableye, you really want that return. This allows you to flip the safe swap matchup against Azumarill and allows you to either keep or flip that switch advantage. So let's go ahead and get into the battles. We're going to do a mini player POV because there are going to be 8 matches total that we're talking about. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so getting into the first gatekeeper for Legend is J. Robin Stacks. He's a good friend of mine and also an amazing streamer, so you guys should definitely check him out. I'll leave a link below in the description. And here we have Jay testing out some spice. So we're going to get into the lead here. And it's going to be Venusaur into a Jirachi. So this is obviously just a terrible situation. And usually when I see a Jirachi, I kind of assume that it's going to be a very Caleb Payne-esque line. So if you guys didn't know, Caleb Payne made a team that is focused around Jirachi, Sableye, and Shadow Machamp. So I know that this Jirachi here, one of the primary goals of the Jirachi is probably going to be taking out the enemy Azumarill. And I don't have an Azumarill on this team, so this is going to be a very interesting matchup. I obviously can't stay in this lead. However, I have 2 great counters to this Jirachi. Sableye has a very dominating matchup, and Galarian Stunfisk also has an amazing matchup as it resists all of Jirachi's charge moves. So the objective of this match right here is to flip that switch advantage right now. So I'm going to go directly into Sableye. Sableye is going to apply pressure with that Shadow Claws and get a massive energy lead. And Galarian Stunfisk, I'm a little bit afraid that if he has a Shadow Machamp, we kind of immediately lose this game because we're not going to be able to come back from that huge energy lead. So I'm going to go into Sableye here, and I'm going to see what his counter swap is. He actually brings in a Azumarill. So this is interesting because now I'm a little bit worried. I'm not really sure what's in the back. It's probably going to be a steel counter from what I think, and I'm actually a little bit afraid it might be an Obstagoon. So Obstagoon has a decent matchup against Venusaur based on the shield scenario, but I know here that no matter what happens in this matchup, I have to flip switch. So the matchup against Sableye and Azumarill has changed just a little bit after the bubble nerfs, it's not changed drastically, but at the moment, if Azumarill lands an Ice Beam on Sableye, it used to be able to bubble down. However, I think now with the damage reduction to bubble, you actually get another shot at getting to an additional foul play in that matchup. So here, I know Jay's a good player, and I know that he's going to be expecting a return first, so the only way that I can really flip the switch advantage here is if I bait. And normally, I hate baiting, and I recommend against it in this matchup, but because this is such a dominating matchup for Jirachi against Venusaur, I gotta go for this bait. And if this is able to pull a shield, I know that I can invest shields into the Sableye and flip that switch advantage. So here, this is amazing for me. The foul play gets shielded, which means that now I have this inside shot at hitting the return. So let's see what Jay does here. Perfect CMP here, denies the Shadow Claw, and it's going to fire an Ice Beam. So this is 5. Now, unfortunately, the Ice Beam version of Azumarill actually does pretty okay in this mid matchup against Sableye. So I have to be really careful here. If he had Play Rough, this would be fantastic because Sableye has a much more dominating mid matchup against it. So I'm going to check for the Ice Beam, and I'm pretty sure I counted to 5 here, and it's an Ice Beam. So now I know I'm in a little bit of trouble here because if Jay really, really wants to, potentially speaking, he could actually reach 3 Ice Beams in this matchup. So get to the return here. Actually fire off. This is a little bit weird. I fired off 3 Shadow Claws right there. to be able to sync up the fast moves and to be able to deny the bubble. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure what happened, but I didn't fast move denial. So I'm in a really, really tough spot right now because that extra bubble is actually going to allow him, as you'll see, to get to a third Ice Beam much easier. And instead of reaching a foul play at the same time that he reaches the third Ice Beam, he's actually going to beat me to the third Ice Beam. So here, I'm going to go for the return. Still kind of okay at the moment because if this return lands, I have a really good shot at flipping switch advantage. So here, return lands. Perfect. So now it's a race to see if I can get to a foul play, which will definitely KO the Azumarill. But like I said, if you don't fast move deny correctly, I am a Shadow Claw away from the foul play. So at this point, however, I do know that if I invest that second shield, I can Shadow Claw all the way down before Jay reaches another Ice Beam. So, and I've already made that decision, right? I have to be able to do this. So I'm going to invest that second shield here. And this is kind of a scary moment because if there is a Shadow Machamp in the back, Venusaur is going to have a rough time trying to handle that with or down a shield. So, but luckily, we're able to get to a ton of energy here. And it's very unlikely that Jay's going to be bringing in the Jirachi, so he has to reveal his third Pokemon. This puts him in a pretty tough spot. So let's see what he brings in here. It's an Altaria. So this is a kind of a weird team comp. I know Jay was trying out some spice, but I really got a bad read on this team because and it actually worked out well for me because by drawing out the Azumarill with Sableye, we inadvertently drew out the only steel counter that Jay had. So right now, Galarian Stunfisk is gonna be my MVP, but what we have to do is we have to do as much damage as possible to this Altaria, chip it down, and I'm thinking about sacrificing my Venusaur here. So let's take a look here. I'm gonna fire off both foul plays. There's really no way that I can make a third one because the Dragon Breaths are so oppressive, and Sableye, it's about 15% health. It's not gonna make it. So I'm gonna really rely on double foul play here, and then as much aggregate Shadow Claw damage as possible. So here, firing the second foul play, and I think I'm going to be about 2 Shadow Claws short to hit the third foul play. It's a little bit unfortunate, but that's kind of how the matchup goes. And yep, I get to 2 Shadow Claws short. And right now, you know, you could bring in Galarian Stunfisk here, but trying to fight back from, you know, being a shield down and farming up to 2 rock slides to be able to take it out. I don't want to take all that Dragon Breath damage, so I know that if I bring in Venusaur here, this is the only use that I'm going to get out of this entire game because the Azumarill is already gone. So I'm going to farm up to a Frenzy Plant here, and I'm hoping for a CMP, and we actually hit it. So this is pretty good because now that energy is going to be gone, right? So I'm going to hit this Frenzy Plant here, not expecting a shield, but Jay actually shields. So we shield here, and we CMP on the Sky Attack. So this is absolutely huge. Altaria right now is Energy Dry, and I'm gonna instantly swap to Stunfisk right here. So, and I know that because Jay is also a good player, he's gonna instantly blind swap into his Jirachi, but it's a Galarian Stunfisk. This is a dominating matchup. There is no way for Jirachi to win this unless I lag out. And I'm gonna go straight for the Earthquake on his Confusion so he can't CMP any charge moves and take any health away just to be safe. And Earthquake's going to one-shot Jirachi, and he brings back in Altaria, and the match is pretty much over. So 1-0 in this set. And yeah, I mean, it's really cool spice to see. You don't really see a lot of Jirachis these days, but I'm very lucky there to have a good comp and to be able to allow Galarian Stunfisk to sweep. Okay. Getting into the second match here against Trainee Joey, 182. He's also an expert, so we do not expect any paid actors right now. And we're going to get into the match here in a little bit. A lot of lag these days on GBLs, so, but we have Venusaur into Alolan Ninetales. So this is actually a pretty interesting matchup because it really depends on what the fast move of Alolan Ninetales is. If it's Charm, you're definitely going to be staying in because you resist its charms and it can't reach fast moves or it can't reach charge moves as quickly as you can. However, if it's Powder Snow, this is such a dominating matchup for Alolan Ninetales. It outpaces you to every single charge move and you got to get out of there. So I have to actually throw a couple of fast moves to figure out what moveset he has. And I actually fumble my hand here because I'm trying to go for that switch button. You can kind of see where I'm clicking, and I go directly to Sableye. So this is not a great position for me because Alolan Ninetales doesn't actually lose to Sableye because it's fairy typing obviously, so you have to land those returns, right? And it does actually outpace because for every return it is 2 Weather Balls, right? It's 9 or basically 9 Shadow Claws, and with this energy lead he's gonna get to 2 Weather Balls before I do. So I'm really hoping for a swap out. And as soon as he sees the Sableye, he's going to fire, I believe. He's going to fire a charge move here, and I can't shield this. Because if I shield this and I go down a shield, he'll probably guarantee switch advantage in the mid game. So he already fires the Weather Ball. I gotta take it. This is super painful. And he brings in the G-Fisk. So this is very interesting because seeing this particular team comp, I'm actually thinking right now there's a Bastiodon in the back. Because it's very, very likely that he has some kind of double tank line, but I'm not really sure, so we'll have to see. But it kind of makes sense, right? You have the Galarian Stunfisk swap in to be able to handle this mid advantage, and then you have, you know, again, you're going to be able to align a Galarian Stunfisk with an energy advantage on top of taking out my Venusaur. So this is what I'm thinking right now, but I'm not really sure. So we're going to play this matchup out a little bit, and at this point I'm thinking I either need to get all shields down, so that even if I lose switch advantage, I can bring in Venusaur and Sludge Bomb the Ninetales, because Venusaur can survive one Weather Ball, and you can get the Sludge Bomb, right? Or I need a flip switch advantage. So, and then with this Galarian Stunfisk gone, the other important thing is, when you guys play a Galarian Stunfisk mirror, the worst thing that can happen is that you either come into a Galarian Stunfisk mirror with an energy disadvantage or a shield disadvantage. Either one of those things is absolutely suicide, because the person that has those advantages on either side, they have a massive advantage. They can shield bait you. They have the commanding advantage over what their energy does. So this is actually really good for me, because now my Galarian Stunfisk doesn't have to see their enemy Stunfisk either with an energy advantage. So here I'm just going to go straight for foul play, and I'm going to try to CMP on each rock slide, because there's kind of no reason for Stunfisk to go for Earthquake, but I still have to be really careful. I think that rock slide is the more consistent move, and right now I'm in rock slide range anyways. So he's going to hit it, and he's going to double up. So I actually hit a second foul play before he does. Now this is a pretty crucial moment, right? Because if this foul play lands, I'm already thinking in my head, I got a flip switch advantage. It doesn't matter what happens. I have to be able to take this Stunfisk out. I'm actually already making a plan in my head that I'm gonna shield and possibly double shield to Shadow Claw this Galarian Stunfisk down. So let's see what happens here. And my opponent doesn't shield. So at this health range, it is possible to double shield and Shadow Claw down this Galarian Stunfisk before it hits another rock slide. So I've already made this conscious decision in my head, because I know that if I get that switch advantage, my Galarian Stunfisk can actually win against his Elo Ninetales even down one shield. So that's the goal right now, is to come out with a ton of energy and threaten, so that I can get shields down on the next matchup, so that my Galarian Stunfisk can be properly aligned to his Elo Ninetales. So here we CMP on the rock slide, so always throw potentially when your opponent could be throwing a charge move, to make them think, do I want to shield? Do I want to shield? Do I want to, do I want to survive? Can I survive? So here, go on to CMP. I'm going to shield this rock slide. So at this point, if I have shielded, I'm already committed to the plan. And he's going to throw the rock slide here, and he's going to throw another one right now. And I actually sneak a Shadow Claw through, which is pretty huge, because sneaking that Shadow Claw through on his move, he's now about 2 Mud Shots up. He's going to be a little bit out of range to get to the third rock slide, and I got to shield again. And this is a pretty awkward position for anybody, right? So he's going to throw a rock slide here. I'm going to shield again, and 1, 2, right there. 1 Mud Shot away from hitting that third rock slide. Really, really scary moment for me, but we were able to do it, and I have to trust in my Sableye to be able to make that play. And here I'm waiting for something to come back in. I don't think that my opponent wants to bring back in the Ninetales, because I think that for my opponent, eating all these foul plays or potential return, I don't think he wants to gamble with that, especially because like he knows the Venusaur is pretty dead already. I mean, he can handle that much later, so I'm gonna wait for my opponent to bring in his Pokemon. And definitely waiting out that switch timer, and he brings in a Swampert. So right now, can kind of understand here, my Venusaur probably isn't going to get much use this game. However, I have a potential here to hit 2 foul plays. So you can see here down in my energy, I'm actually like 5 Shadow Claws away from being able to hit this. So my only hope in this situation is that I get the Swampert into farm down range, and he doesn't try to mush-shot me down the whole way. And I don't think he can. Sableye in the yellow, it's not super tanky, but it doesn't just get melted by mud-shots either. So my hope here is that he actually tries to mud-shot down and doesn't throw, because then I can double up on foul plays. So let's take a look here. 3, 4, and on the 5th mud-shot, throw my foul play here to CMP. And this is likely to go unshielded, because he knows that he has such a bad matchup against Venusaur anyways. And right now, my opponent doesn't throw energy. So he's going for the mud shot down, and I think he lost track of the energy, because I have another foul play ready to go. And I'm gonna throw it again. So here, I'm kind of happy, right? Because not only is my opponent not going to be able to Mudshot down, my Venusaur is actually going to be able to come in and potentially farm the Swampert down. So this is pretty huge. So you got to throw the foul play, expecting a shield here, and this is really going to even up the scenario and our disadvantage from earlier. And my opponent lets it go. So right now, I'm already thinking about what my game plan is in terms of taking this Ninetales out. And I have a little bit of energy, but I immediately swap into Glare and Stunfisk right here. So this is kind of a scary moment, but the Ninetales has taken a little bit of damage, and I think I'm going to be able to match it Rock Slide for Weather Ball the entire way. So, and main goal here is to hit 1 Rock Slide. So I need 15 Mud Shots to get there, and I don't think that he has enough energy for Weather Balls to KO me. So we're going to come in here. He's got a little bit of an energy advantage because he had a little bit of residual energy from the first matchup. So we're going to CMP again, Weather Ball to Rock Slide. I'm going to take this. It's very similar to the Abomasnow matchup, the normal Abomasnow matchup. So as long as I can keep applying this pressure with Rock Slides, we should be in a pretty good spot. So here's obviously going to shield once. And these Powder Snows are just absolutely chunking away. And right now I get really scared because we CMP again on the Rock Slide to Weather Ball. And I'm thinking here, like, I don't think I can survive this. What if I get Powder Snow down, right? So at this health right now, I'm a little bit scared. So I'm gonna go for the Rock Slide again. And I kind of identify a win condition here because one of my potential win conditions is that he gets really scared, doesn't want to Powder Snow down, and he throws, right? So let's see what happens here. So now we're in an even shields down scenario, and my opponent makes the correct play right here. So he knows that he can't Powder Snow down because I'm only a couple of Mud Shots away from the Rock Slide, and he's going to throw his energy here. So this is completely fine. And he's going to throw this Weather Ball. This Weather Ball will KO for sure. And now we rewind all the way back to the start of the match. I bring in my Venusaur here. I got 1 shot. Wait the switch timer out. Potentially I could catch a Weather Ball if I can. And I actually have a little bit of residual energy from the start where I had to check what fast move that the A-Ninetales had. So here, he's going to throw, and he actually gets to the Weather Ball right before. But I know that one single Weather Ball is not going to KO Venusaur. It's going to do about 80%, which is kind of a scary moment. But opponent throws here. I'm pretty sure he's completely out of energy at this point. And gonna take the damage, get into the red. This is super close. Actually misclick right there. Actually got to the Sludge Bomb, but I think Frenzy Plant is gonna be enough at this point to KO. So I just hit the first charge move that I get to, or that I can see on my screen, and this Frenzy Plant winds up KOing. So super close matchup here. And in kind of retrospect, winning that switch advantage was actually pretty huge because having that, having him bringing back in Swampert and having all this energy to unload on Sableye, it kind of saved me from trying to risk like, oh, is this a Sludge Bomb? Do I have to worry about Swampert? And my Sableye right there was very clutch because it didn't throw against the Ninetales expecting the swap out, and that wound up helping me a ton right there. So here in the situation, I had to really bank on my opponent's last Pokemon being potentially weak to Venusaur or being squishy enough that all this energy from Sableye can be invested into taking it out. So right there, Sableye MVP. Obviously Glare and Stunfisk coming in to clean up afterwards, but that was the main win condition right there. And you can kind of see how scary A-Ninetales is, right? It's super spammy. Does pretty good against this line overall just because of the fast move pressure and the charge move pressure they can put on both the Mons, right? Glare and Stunfisk even at even shields still couldn't handle it in the very end. So definitely got very lucky there, but now we're 2-0 in the set, getting ready to move on to the next opponent. All right, getting into the third match, it is Yuki SP 2006. So I actually encountered this player, I think 2 days before this stream, and I forgot what he was running. So as soon as the match starts though, I kind of get a little bit of memory back, and when I see the lead, I know exactly what he's running. So Venusaur, and he leads Pelipper. So this is going to be a tough one because this is going to be Pelipper double steal. I know it's going to be Pelipper double steal, so I know that my Glare and Stunfisk is going to be the most important Pokemon in the arsenal here, and he's actually going to surprise me here with a pick. But this is a pretty awful matchup for Venusaur overall because Pelipper, despite just firing Weather Balls, can actually win this in all even shield scenarios, mainly because it takes 5 wing attacks to get to a Weather Ball, takes 6 for a Frenzy Plant, and he is going to massively outpace because I need 3 Frenzy Plants to KO this Pelipper. which is 18 Vine Whips, and if he 2 shields here, he's almost gonna reach a third in the time that it takes to KO this guy. So, or actually it doesn't even KO because it does neutral damage. So this is a pretty rough matchup, but I gotta stay in because I can't really bring in Sableye. Sableye also gets outpaced, and Galarian Stunfisk, because I think that he's going to be running double steel, I can't reveal it until the very end. So my game plan here is to stay in this matchup. And I know that's very bad because, you know, Venusaur does pretty well against Bastiodon, and it does pretty well against Galarian Stunfisk. But I got to stay in this opening matchup, try to get this Pelipper as low as I can, because I know from before that in the double steel lines, if you can get your Galarian Stunfisk an energy lead or a shield advantage, you're going to be doing pretty well. So let's see how he approaches this matchup. We're both going to be farming up, and I think that he's going to be threatening the Hurricane here, because after I get to 6, he hasn't thrown yet. So we get to 7, so this is kind of a strange number to swap out on, but I'm actually expecting him to throw first, because I kind of want to see what he's doing. If he throws a Hurricane here, which is a huge mistake, there's no reason to do that, then I can actually back-to-back Frenzy Plants and put a little more pressure on him. So he swaps out, and I can see in the top right corner of the screen it's a Steel type, but it's just a Steel type. So I'm a little confused right now, because I'm expecting, you know, Steel Ground or Steel Rock to come in, and he actually brings in a Registeel. So Yuki has definitely changed up his line since the last time we battled. Last time he had a Galarian Stunfisk and a Bastiodon, and now I'm a little bit worried because I'm actually forced to bring in my Galarian Stunfisk into this matchup, because I really don't want to go down shields, knowing that he might have a G-Fisk in the back. So I'm actually going to make a hard read here and say that you know, we have to get an energy advantage here, and my Venusaur has to have enough energy to take out his Galarian Stunfisk at the end. So the good thing about Registeel though is lock-ons don't really do any damage, and I'm actually gonna farm to double Frenzy Plant here and then bail to my Galarian Stunfisk. So this is really important here, because the only way that I can defeat also his Pelipper later on is that if I have that energy, right? I need to get that energy advantage, need to try to overpower this Pelipper when it comes in later, and I'm not expecting him to shield at all. So the main goal of this Registeel here must be to lure out the G-Fisk, but if I get enough energy, I think I can go ahead and win the secondary matchup, as well as bring a little bit of energy into the tertiary matchup with Pelipper versus G-Fisk, because I'm definitely expecting that to come back in to counter it. And against this matchup, this is a pretty straightforward matchup, and like I said about my Galarian Stunfisk IVs, it is an attack-weighted one, so as long as Yuki here, my opponent, as long as he has a Raid Registeel, potentially you can have a good friend traded Registeel, I believe, optimized, and it can take 1 less damage from Mudshot. But from what I can see on the Registeel's health bar here, this is a Raid Registeel. This is like a 10, 15, 15 or something of those IVs, and I know that if I land an Earthquake, I can Mudshot the rest of the way down. So this is absolutely huge. Take the Focus Blast here. I'm gonna count to, I think I count to 6 Mudshots here right before he gets to the next Focus Blast or the potential Flash Cannon. Fire this Earthquake, and it should get him, either should one-shot or it should get him down very low, and it does. It gives me 1 more Mudshot of farm, and that is absolutely fantastic for me in the secondary matchup. So now I'm expecting the Pelipper to come back in, and he's gonna unload all his Weather Balls on me. So he's gonna wait the switch timer out, and he's successfully baited out the G-Fisk. So I'm still a little bit worried. We definitely have an uphill climb, and right here when I hit the Rock Slide, we're gonna hit CMP. So got a decision to make here. I could let this go. This could be an option for me to let this Galarian Stunfisk just go down, bring in the Venusaur, and try to muscle through this matchup again. However, the one problem with the situation is that I already have this energy, right? And when you're thinking about investing shields, or you're thinking about trying to take down enemy Pokemon, this Rock Slide is worth just as much as a Frenzy Plant. And I got to this Rock Slide in 5 Mudshots. This is going to be way more energy efficient, especially if he tries to, he can't farm me down, especially if he throws another Weather Ball and dumps all his energy. So this is worth it to me to invest a shield here to threaten the Pelipper, because I know that's the biggest threat at the moment for my Galarian Stunfisk. So if I were to let this go, we're two shields on 2 shields with an energy loaded Pelipper against Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So I make a decision here, and I choose to use a shield here. I'm not going to outpace this Pelipper. That's not going to be the case. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking right now, how valuable is this Galarian Stunfisk to me? How much work can it do against enemy G-Fisk potentially? And I make a decision to save the G-Fisk. So this is a little bit awkward here, but I'm going to shield this Weather Ball here. He's still got a ton of energy, and I'm going to fire the Rock Slide on the CMP. So I'm going to fire this. I expect a shield from Yuki here, and he's going to match my shields. So now I have a decision to make. He's going to definitely fire another Weather Ball here to try to get my last shield or let the Stunfisk go down, and I'm not going to let it happen because at the health that my Galarian Stunfisk is at, it can still reach a potential Earthquake. So he's gonna try to go for another Weather Ball or try to farm up again. I'm going to save swap to my Sableye because right now we are 1-to-1 shields. So even if he took out the Sableye, I can bring in my Venusaur and I can potentially just go to town, because if my Venusaur starts getting an energy advantage and firing off Frenzy Plants, it doesn't matter what he has, we're going to be able to take it out. So we have a really good shot here at being able to apply some pressure. So here, he's going to throw. I fully expect this to be a Hurricane, and it can probably only be a Hurricane. I think 2 Weather Balls is probably more energy efficient, but I'm expecting him to bail to this Galarian Stunfisk. So I am not going to shield here. My goal is to bait out this Galarian Stunfisk and then figure it out later. So here he's going to fire. Hurricane is not KO, even with stab. So I'm going to be down quite a bit, and I'm at a foul play. And right when I try to throw it, he switches into Bastiodon. And that throws me off a little bit because I was fully expecting a Galarian Stunfisk to come in. And at that health, I could actually reach another, oh, my video went out, potentially reach another foul play. But now, having this Ripple in the double Steel line, that Registeel wasn't there, but it replaced the wrong Pokemon, I think. So now there's a Bastiodon. I have a Galarian Stunfisk that can potentially get to an Earthquake against this Bastiodon, and I think that's my best play here is to go for the kill shot, because Venusaur is going to have much better play against Pelipper with that loaded energy versus having this Galarian Stunfisk here to try to take on that Pelipper later on, plus Pelipper wins CMP. So knowing that the Pelipper in the back now has no energy, it's dumped everything that it has, I'm going to bring in my Galarian Stunfisk. And I know that he's only got 1 Smackdown, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 1 away. We're going to throw the Earthquake here. Has to shield here, right? There's no reason not to shield. You're going to lose all that energy on the Flamethrower, and I'm expecting my opponent to commit his last shield, and this is absolutely fine. He's going to smack down my my Galarian Stunfisk. Very sad to see. So he's at 10 Smackdowns right now. I make a note of this when I come in, because if he's at 10 Smackdowns, he is 4 away from reaching the next Flamethrower, which means that I have to KO his Pokemon in that time, and I think that I do. So if you see here, I got double Frenzy Plant on this Venusaur. It's going to take 6 more Vine Whips exactly to get there. So I need to make sure no fast moves go through, and I need to make sure that I have enough energy to be able to take down that Pelipper, and I need to make sure I have energy lead. So I have to fire. So if he brings in a Pelipper here, I have to fire the Frenzy Plant immediately, because he's going to beat me to a charge move, and 2 Frenzy Plants is going to KO this Bastiodon. So here, come in, instantly Frenzy Plant. And it's actually going to be CMP. So I'm expecting him to throw the Flamethrower. He knows I have a Venusaur. He has no shields left, and we CMP here. Have to shield this, and now, as long as I can get 6 fast moves in, I win the match. So here, I'm going to start farming up, and he brings in the Pelipper. So this is fantastic, right? We no longer have to invest, or we no longer have to watch out for any kind of sack swaps or anything else. Not that it would have mattered. And the Bastiodon is too far away. So right there, that first fast move that I made, trying to threaten the farm down, that's going to be the difference in this game. I'm going to fire the Frenzy Plant immediately. Don't want to deal with this Pelipper. I don't even care. It might have some residual energy, but I think it has none. But it's much safer right now to KO. And my opponent is 4 Smackdowns away. So 1, 2, and on the third one, get to the Frenzy Plant, take out the match, GG's right there. So kind of a scary one, because initially I thought that he was going to be bringing in a Galarian Stunfisk, but instead having the Bastiodon on the back actually made a little bit of complications for this team, as I kind of feared. Low health G-Fisk is also kind of a scary situation, but we get the win right there, and we're now 3-0 in this run. Okay, going into the 4th match, we have Lim here, another expert, so we're definitely making that run for Legend. And he is going to be leading, we're going to be leading Venusaur and into a Galarian Stunfisk. So this is this is a very neutral matchup, and I've seen it played out quite a bit of different ways, right? So you can definitely go straight Rock Slide as Galarian Stunfisk. You're obviously not going to be shielding the first Frenzy Plant. Those are all expected behaviors, but it really depends on what this Stunfisk user decides to do. So in general, I think that the better play is to go for straight Rock Slides, because if you go for an Earthquake and your opponent kind of senses it and shields it, you're in a really, really tough spot. You actually kind of lose that opening matchup if you do it that way. Mainly because it's going to take 16 mud shots to get to 2 Earthquakes, and if one of those gets shielded, at that time I'm almost at a 3rd Frenzy Plant, which at that point, to be able to maintain switch or win the opener, you have to shield twice. So I don't think my opponent wants to do that, and I'm gonna sense that he's gonna go for a Rock Slide. So we're gonna farm up to 8 Frenzy Plants. I'm gonna hit it on the CMP. Doesn't matter what move it is, because I think he's also gonna be bluffing the Earthquake right there, Fast Move Denial, and we're gonna fire the Frenzy Plant. I'm not expecting a shield here. This is gonna put the Galarian Stunfisk very low, but again, if you want to be able to battle another Galarian Stunfisk, it doesn't matter what your health is, as long as you don't get mud shotted down. All that matters is energy advantage and shield advantage. So here, my opponent's going to throw. Not going to shield this. If he's playing this correctly to get the most damage in, it's going to be a Rock Slide, and it is. So get hit. Does a pretty good amount to Venusaur, and then I'm expecting him to Rock Slide right now. Great Fast Move Denial right there. If he would have given me the extra Vine Whip, I probably would have fired it right away. So I'm going to shield the second Rock Slide, not to get too low, and I'm going to start farming. My opponent brings in a Psychic type, and I actually make a huge mistake here, because I see that it's Cresselia, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna farm up to some more energy. When he Psycho Cuts me down, he has Confusion, and I'm kind of freaking out right now, but I decide to bring in my Sableye. So this is kind of an interesting situation. The main reason that I brought in the Sableye is because he has G-Fisk and he has Cresselia, right? So I'm actually going to be expecting a Scrafty in the back. And I know that Sableye has basically no play against Scrafty. Normally I would bring in a Galarian Stunfisk to this line. However, having played a variation of this on a friend stream before, I know that they usually have some kind of fighter or another anti-steal in the back, just in case the Galarian Stunfisk goes down, right? Because the Stunfisk job is mainly to take out the flyer, right? Take out the flyer, take out the ice type, and it's going to pave the way for Cresselia and something else to run wild in the back. So we're going to see if this is the correct prediction, but I think bringing in Sableye here is the safer play, mainly because Foul Play is going to do a lot of damage. We're going to resist the confusions. The only thing we got to watch out for is that Moonblast. And I don't actually know the counts here for confusion, but I know that 1 Moonblast does not KO, right? So as long as I'm resisting these confusions, completely cool. I can get to 2 foul plays and threaten shield advantage, which is completely fine. So he actually based me with Grass Knot, which is fantastic. So gonna make a little bit of mistake here, trying to fast move denial the confusion. I'm gonna fire this foul play. I don't expect a shield. Once I'm connecting, and I think I have a path to Shadow Claw down, but again, like I said, got to get the fast move denial down, because that extra confusion allows my opponent to reach another charge move. And this time, it doesn't matter if it's Grass Knot or Moonblast, it's most likely a Grass Knot. This is going to KO. So again, we're in a tough situation where I have to go down 2 to no shields, right? So this is going to be very tough, because if I shield this and Galarian Stunfisk gets enough energy, it's going to take me out with that Rock Slide no matter what. So I don't know how useful my Frenzy Plants are going to be. And yeah, I got to make a decision to shield here. I don't want to lose switch advantage, especially because I'm already down a shield. So my own Galarian Stunfisk might have a worse time. So here I'm going to Shadow Claw down. Now this energy is going to be pretty valuable though. I've got, here I'm going to show here. I have 1.5 foul plays, right? And he brings in the Galarian Stunfisk. So this Stunfisk has exactly 3 mud shots, right? Because that's what we saw when he left the matchup. So I am 3 Shadow Claws away from taking this down and CMPing on the Rock Slide. So I'm gonna fire immediately. He gets a mud shot in, and I'm expecting a shield here, because there will be no reason not to shield here, but he decides to let it go. So although my opponent could have actually beat me to another Rock Slide to take out my Sableye, my opponent decides to let this go. So this is actually huge for me, because one thing is, like, because of the energy situation, he has no Pokemon now that can threaten a CMP. Obviously, except for the last Pokemon he's going to be bringing in, and he doesn't know my last. So this is kind of huge for me in terms of how I'm going to approach this matchup. And I'm expecting a Scrafty to come in, so I'm like, okay, so this is fine. What my plan here in this situation is going to be is to get the Stunfisk to an Earthquake, or potentially go for the return here on Sableye to take 1 shield, and then I'm going to have double Frenzy Plant for it available. But I look up here in the top right, it's a Psychic type, and it's going to be a Mew. So now it's understandable why my opponent is saving shields, right? Saving it for this Mew to try to take me out and try to snowball and try to go crazy. So you don't know the moveset. It's definitely going to be an unknown moveset, but what I do know is if my opponent is saving this Mew, it's very likely that it has Flame Charge. Because he knows about the Venusaur, and he's probably going to be able to ramp up. So right now, I'm expecting this to be like Flame Charge and maybe Grass Knot, because these are the two moves that are preferred when you try to take out a Steel type or try to take out maybe potential Grass type, right? So here, I'm going to fire the Foul Play immediately, and this gets 1 shield. So, and I'm counting the Shadow Claws here. It's very likely this Mew is only going to be able to reach 1 move against this Sableye before he has to fire, because he doesn't want to go down, he doesn't want to even up the shield situation. So right here on the 7th Shadow Claw, he's going to fire here. Now on the 7th Shadow Claw, could be a lot of things. Could be a Surf and 2 Shadow Claws of residual energy, could be a Wild Charge, could be a Flame Charge, and I'm actually expecting here that he's just going to Surf. So if he surfs me, I know that my Venusaur can come in and double Frenzy Plant this right away. So I'm going to wait for my opponent to fire the charge move here, and it's going to be a Flame Charge. So at this moment, I know that I've won already, because not only do I have 2 Frenzy Plants on Venusaur, if for whatever reason he got to another charge move, which he can't because I'm going to back-to-back these Frenzy Plants, I still have a G-Fisk that is going to survive a Flame Charge and be able to get to a Rock Slide, potentially take it out. So let this go, obviously, and I'm just going to bring in my Venusaur immediately, hit the Frenzy Plant. This is going to command the last shield. And as soon as he uses it, just going to fire it right away. No reason to wait. And this is going to KO the Mew and secure us the 4th match. So actually that farm down on Cresselia, or that farming on Cresselia that I did, even if it cost me a bunch of health, actually wound up working out really well in the end, because my expectation here was going to be the Scrafty in the back. And it wound up being a Mew instead. But either way, if it were a Scrafty, and it would be a similar situation, right? Like I would try to bluff the return, he would shield, he would have to throw energy to take me out or try to counter me down aggressively, to which I could bring in my Galarian Stunfisk to continue to chip away. So I think I was going to be in a safe spot regardless. So right here, we're 4-0, and we're going to be trying to get our 5th win. Okay. Going into the last battle in this set of 5, we go against Alucard, and I've seen this trainer before. I'm not really sure what he's running, so very curious, but definitely have run into him before while climbing the ranks. And this is going to be a really interesting matchup, because as soon as I see the lead, I'm going to get really worried here. And we're going to go into Venusaur, and he's going to go into Hypno. So oh man, this matchup. So obviously, this is going to be like the Jirachi matchup, where I absolutely have to flip switch advantage, and I absolutely have to take out this Hypno so that my Venusaur can thrive. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. And when I see Shadow Hypnos nowadays, there's generally just one line, right? So you guys probably already know Verg's line of Shadow Hypno or normal Hypno plus a Scrafty Umbra on the back. So I already know that this is going to be a tough uphill battle, but I'm going to play this in the same way that I played it on my old team, which was the Azumarill A-Ninetales Marowak team. I'm going to draw out a Dark type and try to farm down or try to get an energy advantage so I can throw Frenzy Plants to Hypno. So this is going to be the only way I can really do this, and the main thing is I want to switch in Sableye right away, and I need to pray that he brings out the Scrafty. So this is going to be pretty huge. I have to win switch advantage because I have to align Venusaur onto his Dark type, and I have to align Galarian Stunfisk onto Hypno. So let's see how this matchup goes. I have to bail instantly, and it's pretty lucky for me right there, because obviously the confusion didn't land on Venusaur, and I bring in Sableye right now to get an energy advantage. So I'm gonna start Shadow Clawing down, and my opponent swaps into a normal type, and I'm like, what is going on here? But it's the Munchlax. So as soon as I see this Munchlax, I know already that there's a Scrafty in the back. So this mid matchup has to work, and we have to win switch advantage. But the good thing is Munchlax here, although he's doing super effective damage or neutral damage with the licks, he doesn't really have any moves that can potentially threaten us except for that Bulldoze, right? So Body Slam is obviously not going to do much to Sableye, and he has to charge up a lot of energy here. So not completely sure on the counts, but I know that at this point, with the energy advantage that I have, that it's going to be very unlikely that if I throw all my energy at it, that he's going to be able to reach 2 Bulldozes. So I'm willing to invest both shields. I do not care. I need to be able to win switch advantage. So here, start charging up here, and I'm going to go for a Foul Play first. So the reason that I go for the Foul Play first is the same reasoning that I go for Foul Play first in the Azumarill matchup, depending on the player. If you know the player very well and they can sniff out the bait, then it's going to be pretty rough. But here, I know that he knows that he has to also maintain alignment between his Pokemon, right? Unless he's completely clueless of what's in the back. But you see Venusaur, you definitely expect either a Bastiodon or a Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So I'm going to go for the bait first. And at this moment, gonna see what he does. And oh, sorry, my capture card actually ran out, and he shields. So got the shield here. Sorry about the capture card mess up. Something was messing up with that throughout the night, but he shields. So he respects the return right there. So at this point, same thing that happened in that Azumarill matchup, right? We get the foul play bait, we have to land the return, and then we can potentially win switch advantage. Even if we have to invest 2 shields, it doesn't matter. So here, I'm gonna go directly for the return. And at this point, because I've reached this level of energy, he's at Bulldoze. So Bulldoze does not take Sableye out, but what it does is if he wants to start investing shields and starts body slamming, I have to start shielding body slams, which is pretty awful for me, and I don't want to be doing that. So I'm going to go for the return right here, and if this return lands, I'm in a really, really good spot. So gonna go fire this, and the return connects. So again, same situation as the Azumarill matchup. Obviously, Munchlax is a little bit bulky. You can see here, return only does about, I don't know, maybe like 40% of its health, and the aggregate Shadow Claw damage is pretty much doing nothing, right? So I know that I have to land at the very least the foul play, and then, you know, I don't even know if we can Shadow Claw down at this point. So my opponent is gonna fire a move here. Have to shield this. Bulldoze would actually do a pretty good chunk to where Munchlax can potentially lick down. So this is a pretty rough spot, but I have to commit a shield here, and it's going to be really bad if he baits us here. So it actually turns out to be a body slam bait. And now I'm a little bit worried because I'm willing to invest my second shield if he reaches charge move, because I know that the next move is definitely going to be a Bulldoze. So, but the good thing is, because of that massive energy lead that we had coming in when he didn't swap out his Hypno, I know that I can take down this Munchlax potentially with another foul play here. So I'm gonna go for the foul play. I think he wasn't expecting this charge move, and he winds up letting it go. So this is absolutely huge for me right now. So we've won the switch advantage, and here's the thing. He can't bring in the Hypno because the Hypno is gonna get absolutely crushed by the Sableye. So we're gonna see his Dark type in the back no matter what. So we have the alignment that we prefer right now, and we have a Galarian Stunfisk to take out his Hypno in the back. So, and it is a Scrafty. So this is absolutely perfect for me. Once I won the switch advantage, I'm much more comfortable, but Scrafty is not going to be so easy to take down, mainly because Sableye can't do much against Scrafty besides returning it, and he's very likely to shield a return if we even get there. And I'm actually expecting him to throw a power-up punch and try to counter us down, because at that point, a power-up punch Scrafty with multiple foul plays can take down a Venusaur through one shield. So have to be very careful here. And the Scrafty's gonna come in. I'm gonna count here. I'm gonna try to get to this return because I know foul play does so little damage because it's gonna be double resisted. And right before I hit the return, he throws energy. So here, I'm obviously gonna let this go. But what I'm really worried about is that it's a power-up punch, because if it's a power-up punch and he decides to shield once, he can actually reach 2 foul plays before I get to enough frenzy plants to take him down. Because I need 2, right, to take down a Scrafty at this health. And I'm really hoping that it's not a power-up punch and it's a foul play. So this is fantastic for me. I am very elated at this point because back-to-back frenzy plants will KO the Scrafty through a shield. And I'm gonna be able to survive. So here, I'm gonna go straight for the frenzy plant. And I actually forget, but my opponent makes an insane swap into the Hypno to catch the frenzy plant. Now understanding how important it is to have this Hypno align with my Venusaur. And also gets confusion in on the switch in as well. So I'm going to fire this frenzy plant. I'm going to let my Galarian Stunfisk catch the confusion to not take extra damage. And right here, my opponent doesn't shield. So at this point, because I know that Vergi prefers Thunder Punch and Ice Punch on his Hypno, I'm not going to shield anything. I'm going to farm up to an Earthquake to get that shield back, and we're still going to be able to one shield frenzy plant the Scrafty down. So that's going to be my plan right now. If he has Focus Blast, he has Focus Blast, and we lose anyways, but it's very unlikely the Shadow Hypno right now is carrying Focus Blast. So throws right away as well. So you can see here, throwing right away, knowing that he got 3 confusions in that Sableye matchup, this is definitely a punch, and I have nothing to fear. Capture card cuts out again, and it's going to be Ice Punch. So at this point, nothing can KO me from this Hypno. I'm going to commit to a full mud shot down, get to the Earthquake, and I actually want him to get me a little bit lower so Scrafty doesn't have enough farm. because Scrafty right now has 6 counters of energy, and I don't believe it can carry back-to-back foul plays, but we're going to be able to see here. So right now, Scrafty coming in, I'm going to Earthquake right away. No reason to go for a bait here, because if he, for whatever reason, he doesn't shield, we're going to be in a much worse position. So go for the Earthquake here. Actually, CMP tie here. So this is really rough, because if this is a foul play, I actually think that the foul play would KO Galarian Stunfisk from this position, but I can't shield, because if I shield and it's a power-up punch bait, the game's over. Because he can definitely counter us the whole way down. But the good thing is that this Scrafty is unloading his energy here instead of trying to farm me down. And I'm really hoping for a foul play here, but it's power up punch. So still in an awkward position, but he's just let 5 counters of energy go, and we're gonna see him be tied on the Earthquake. This is fantastic. This is gonna get the final shield. And as long as I can make it to a Frenzy Plant before he makes it to 2 moves, which potentially is power up punch into foul play, I'm gonna be in a really good spot. So right now, he's basically at another move, and I know that in the time it's going to take for me to charge up to a Frenzy Plant, we're going to reach 2 moves. So usually, if at full health, I usually recommend that that people don't shield. But here's the thing: he could be at 2 moves, and if they're both foul plays, we're going to CMP to the next one. So I kind of need to shield here just to be safe, and I choose to do that. And it's power up punch bait. So double ramped Scrafty. However, we get there. He's not at the energy for a foul play. I don't know if it would KO, but it'd be very close. But we get to the Frenzy Plant, and we secure a 5-0. So this is absolutely huge. At this point, I'm not expecting to hit Legend, because 73 points is kind of a tall order for a 5-0, but we still get there. This is fantastic for us, and we're gonna go see what we get here. Okay, claiming some rewards right now, and we make it to 29.95. So a little bit brutal, but to be expected. It's really hard to get 73 points at this elo, even if you go 5-0. So at this point, I know that a 3-2 or better is going to secure Legends. So I have 1 more set left in the day, and I'm going to go ahead and fire it up. Okay, going into the 6th battle of the run, we have Garsko, and it's going to be another expert. So we are definitely not going to have any paid actors on this run. And we encounter one of the worst leads that this team could ever see. It's going to be a Shiftry, guys, and this one is going to be a pretty rough matchup. So there's a couple of Pokemon that I'm going to be very afraid of seeing in the lead. Obviously, Confusion users and Flyers, but the one Pokemon that I really don't want to see is Shiftry. And the main reason is Shiftry with energy advantage and shields can potentially sweep this whole team if it wanted to, because it charges energy so quickly, and those foul plays really hurt, even if they're just neutral. And not only does Sableye have a bad matchup against it, G-Fisk is also going to be in a rough spot, because even if you can Rock Slide the Shiftry, you're probably going to need 2 Pokemon to take it out. So I'm thinking right now already that this is going to be a loss, and I am very scared, but there's going to be some ways that we can finesse out of this. The one thing that I'm really hoping for is that my opponent gets greedy and starts overcharging, and I really need him to do that, because I need time to be able to chip away at this Shiftry and threaten Sludge Bombs. So let's go ahead and get started here, and we're going to start charging up energy. You can see how quickly Shiftry is going to be getting to energy. Hits the foul play here, goes past, and I'm going to throw a Frenzy Plant bait, and we CMP. So at this point, because Shiftry has so much energy, there's no real reason for it to bait, and it can comfortably win the 2 shield against Venusaur, even if Venusaur goes straight Frenzy Plants, and even if Shiftry goes straight foul play. So this is a bad matchup, but I have to stay in, right? None of my other Pokemon have a worse matchup, and you can get potentially counter swapped into. So I'm going to continue to stay the course and fire Frenzy Plant. I'll go for the Sludge Bomb right here, though, letting him get an extra Snarling, which is really bad for me. So my opponent double shields here, and he's going to throw another charge move, and I pretty much know that he's about to go for back-to-back foul plays, because there's kind of no reason for him not to, right? And here I have to commit the second shield, because there's no way that I can defeat the Shiftry, even if I have a shield, if I let it on my side right now, because my opponent is probably going to be able to navigate the Shiftry around the rest of my team through the rest of his Pokemon. And make the decision to shield here. Kind of stressed out right now, because I don't know how I'm going to beat this Shiftry without shields. So my only hope right now is that he gets greedy and he swaps. So this is absolutely huge. I'm not really sure why my opponent swapped, because he could have very easily punished me with this pick, right? There's no way that he should have swapped out, because Foul Play probably would have come very close to KOing, and even if he goes down, he's got shields down and potential energy advantage on his next Pokemon. So I'm a little bit scared right here, but he swaps into a Alolan Marowak, just like a hard counter, and I'm really confused as to what is going on. So I've got to make a decision right here, but I know that the Fire Spins, although they're going to hurt, I can actually charge up to a Sludge Bomb and bank it. So I know that although I lose CMP, my main goal here is to bring in something juicy that he really wants to take out when I win the secondary matchup. So I have a couple choices here, and one thing that I realized is that he's got Shiftry, Alolan Marowak, and then something in the back, right? And because he didn't swap out of the opening matchup, I thought for a second that he might have been ABA to this team. So he probably wanted to stay in the lead, but he probably has something in the back that's very weak to here. It doesn't make any sense that he brought in the Marowak though, so I'm very curious what he has in the back. Right now, I kind of thinking about the fact that he might have an Azumarill. It would complement this team very well, but I'm not really sure. So I'm going to charge up to a Sludge Bomb here just to be safe, and I'm actually going to bring in my Galarian Stunfisk. So normally you probably bring in Sableye here, but what I do know about this matchup is that Sableye against Shiftry is pretty miserable, right? You really can only deal damage with return. He's healthy enough that he'll survive a Foul Play, so it would be very energy inefficient to try to use that against him. And I think G-Fisk is going to be pretty good here because it has a very comfortable one shield, or a very comfortable zero shield against Marowak, where you can not only KO the Marowak, but then potentially threaten a Rock Slide after. So that's going to be my lineup play right here. I know it's a little bit unconventional to swap into G-Fisk when I have the Sableye, but I want Sableye there for a little bit more flexibility just in case. So I'm going to bring in the Galarian Stunfisk here. My opponent has an energy lead that I sacrifice so I can get a Sludge Bomb on my Venusaur. And I'm going to go straight for the Earthquake here. So here my opponent's going to throw here. I'm expecting a Shadow Bone, and he's not going to reach another charge move. However, he throws double Bone Club here, which makes sense because he's going to get the Galarian Stunfisk low enough that it's going to be in Leaf Blade range. So this completely makes sense. I'm going to let him throw his energy here, and Shiftry's not going to be able to snarl this down, right? So he has to either throw energy or potentially get hit with a Rock Slide. So I'm going to charge up a little bit more energy, throw the Earthquake here. It's going to be one shot into Alolan Marowak. And I kind of see a little bit of light that I can potentially play with. So here, he's going to bring back in the Shiftry, and I'm going to try to get to a Rock Slide, but he throws immediately. So this is huge. I think my opponent kind of lost track of my energy here. Rock Slide probably doesn't KO here, but it does get it into a very comfortable Vine Whip down range, or even potentially Shadow Claw range. But I didn't expect my opponent to throw his energy here. But now this opens up a situation where I can come in and Sludge Bomb this Shiftry. And the most important thing is, if you saw earlier, our switch time, we're still switch locked, right? So I'm going to be able to come in with my Venusaur immediately. So I'm going to let him throw his energy here. The only play he can make here is if he draws out this long enough and he tries to swap out. But I'm going to bring in my Venusaur instantly here, throw the Sludge Bomb, KO the Shiftry, get rid of the biggest menace to my team, and we got to see what's in the back. So my opponent brings in his last Pokemon, and it's a Skarmory. So this is really bad. And as the Skarmory is coming in, I'm starting to understand the purpose of the team composition, because you actually want to lure out the G-Fisk with your Alolan Marowak, take it down with Shiftry, have a good matchup against Azumarill, obviously, in the lead, and then have your Skarmory kind of run free from the potential steals, right? So here, I actually make a mistake here. I take an Air Slash on Venusaur, and I come into this matchup with an energy disadvantage. So this is actually pretty bad for me. And it really depends on how my opponent wants to play this, but I think the right play here was to go for Brave Bird, and I probably would have lost. But the main thing is, if I can get to a second Foul Play, I'd actually threaten to KO him, right? So here my opponent throws the energy, and I think that the match is over, because I'm like, this is definitely a Brave Bird, right? He's hit an Air Slash before my Sableye swapped in, and I gave him an extra Air Slash when I was trying to get the Foul Play. So I'm thinking here that this is going to be a loss, but the one thing to note here is, though, he's in the yellow. And if he goes down 2-stage debuff with Brave Bird, it's possible that a Frenzy Plant could KO or could get it very close to KOing. So we're going to see what this move is. I'm praying that it's going to be a Brave Bird so I can have a chance at it. And it's going to be a Sky Attack. So this is very rough for me, because now with that health on Sableye, my opponent can threaten the Air Slash down, but I'm almost at a Foul Play. So I have to race him to this Foul Play, and I have to hope that he doesn't know how much energy I have. But he does. And the mistake I made earlier of letting one Air Slash through when I was trying to charge up to a Foul Play actually kind of saves me here, because we fake CMP on the Foul Play to the Sky Attack. I don't actually get the energy, or I don't actually throw the move, but I get the energy for it right as he throws. And this is absolutely huge because he's going to throw a Sky Attack here. It's going to be energy dry because they have at most maybe 10 energy on his Skarmory. And I have a shot to win this game. Because you can see here slowly that Shadow Claw damage is resolving right there. So without any energy, can a Venusaur take down a Skarmory? I'm going to try my best. So 1, 2, let an Air Slash through 2. So this is just a miserable matchup, but Frenzy Plant actually does, even if it's double resisted, actually does a pretty good amount. And it's going to put the Skarmory at a sliver, but here's the thing. Vine Whip resolves before Air Slash does, and I survive with 1 HP and a Dream. So, this is absolutely huge. I definitely misread my opponent's team composition, expecting them to have that Azumarill in the back. But once the, oops, there goes my phone right there. But once he had the Skarmory out, I knew that I had to bring in, that Sableye to try to force him to throw. 2 Foul Plays would KO, so opponent made a really good read right there. And, that Venusaur having charged up that little bit of energy before I swapped to Skarmory actually made a lot of sense. So let's get into the next battle. Okay, so after a small technical difficulties restart with the game crash right there, we have Antonio Lara DJ, and he's already Legends, so probably going to be gatekeeping me, and we'll see how this matchup goes as well. And we have a lead Venusaur into Swampert. So this is absolutely fantastic. We definitely win the lead. However, the one thing to note about Swampert is that he's definitely going to swap out, right, to his secondary matchup. And even if we win the secondary matchup, the dangerous thing about Shadow Swampert is that Sludge Wave does quite a bit of damage. And he has every single reason in the world to, to intentionally lose the secondary matchup and farm down to be able to threaten that Sludge Wave on top of my Venusaur. But what I do know is I have to win Switch. So whatever he brings in, I have to be able to win that Switch advantage because my Galarian Stunfisk cannot see this ever. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. And these Vine Whips were absolutely chunking away Shadow Swampert, and he brings in his own Venusaur. So pretty rough situation right here. Kind of have to stay in because I don't really want to go down shields with G-Fisk. G-Fisk can potentially, as you guys saw in the earlier matchups, can potentially win against Venusaur, but this Venusaur has an energy advantage, and then Sableye also has a pretty rough matchup because with an energy disadvantage, you're gonna get outpaced Frenzy Plant to Foul Play, and that's just not going to be good. Sableye, again, it's not super squishy, but it does take a lot of damage from these charge moves, so forced to stay in. I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb. Denying that Vine Whip right there, so we're definitely a little bit ahead on energy. He's at a Frenzy Plant, and I'm going to throw Sludge Bomb. Sludge Bomb's going to connect, which is absolutely huge, because right now, as soon as the Sludge Bomb connects, I'm thinking about now bringing in my Sableye, or after he throws energy, because if I'm able to do this, there's a potential here that I could either land a Foul Play or Shadow Claw down. So I have to let this Venusaur throw energy right now, and he's actually overcharging, which is a super smart move. So we're gonna get to about a Sludge Bomb and a half, right? And I know that I can take any move from this Venusaur, so no reason to actually shield here. And I know that it's still gonna have a dominating matchup against Swampert if I have shields. So I'm gonna let the Sludge Bomb hit me. It's definitely gonna be a Sludge Bomb. There's no reason to really bait here. And I am gonna go and bring in my Sableye. Or I'm gonna charge up to a Frenzy Plant, bring in my Sableye. So right now, this Venusaur, with the amount of health that it has, I know that it can be Shadow Claw down for energy, and all I have to do is shield this Frenzy Plant. This Frenzy Plant's gonna do a lot of damage, probably does a little bit over 70%, right? And my only hope is that I count it correctly, because this is gonna be a Frenzy Plant, and if I left with the Frenzy Plant, then we're gonna be 6 Vine Whips away from getting to the next charge move, and I'm gonna Shadow Claw this thing down the entire way, and you can see right there, we get there. So he's gonna bring back in the Swampert, and this is a great position for me because this Swampert basically has 0 play now. I have 1 switch advantage. If he shields the Swampert, what is that really gonna accomplish, right? Because I have a Sableye with loaded energy. There's really no reason for him to be trying to win back or try to win this matchup. So it's very likely he's gonna charge the Hydro Cannon, which we will let go, and then threaten the Swampert. So Oh, and right here, this is the classic go battle lag right here. This is one of my opponent's win conditions right now. I'm actually lagging right now. I'm trying to click the charge move. And my screen freezes, and my opponent's getting in free mud shots. So right now, I'm kind of freaking out, and I really don't know what's going on. But this must be in a really, really bad spot, right? Because I got to throw no energy right there. I didn't even get to charge energy. And I have to either burn my shield here or have to let all this energy go to waste. And you guys can see right there, I had a foul play and a half, which is just absolutely massive. And there's really no reason I make a decision to shield here to preserve that energy, because I'm already very, very ahead, right? If I lost all this energy, it would actually make the value of the first shield that I used almost completely useless, right? Because we shielded to get this energy. We shielded to farm down this Venusaur. And if I let this energy go just to preserve that one shield, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially now that I know he's at a charge move, he's used a charge move, and I can get to another foul play before he gets to the second Hydro Cannon. So assuming that I didn't lag too much. So here, I'm going to throw the foul play. Niantic does allow me to throw the foul play, which is pretty fantastic. And surprisingly, or not surprisingly, my opponent doesn't shield this. So I'm going to beat it to the next move right here. And I'm not expecting a shield again, right? He didn't shield the first one. So I don't think he's going to shield, knowing that my Venusaur gets farmed down, even if he KOs me. And this is the decision, right? So at this moment, it depends on how much value I have, but we're down two to no shields. We could have had a shield if we didn't lag right there, but my opponent's last Pokemon I can see is an Ice and Fairy type in the top right. So it's a A-Ninetales. And this is absolutely huge, because if it has Charm, Sableye is completely useless. It's not going to reach a return in time, and I'm going to get farmed down. However, if it has Powder Snow, Sableye has a little bit of play to be able to chunk this, because he doesn't know who my last Pokemon is. And if my last Pokemon is a Charmer, he has to shield every single attack, because in the event that it's a Charmer, I can chunk his health down, and then we're going to be able to match Charms the rest of the way. So here I can see the Fairy Ice typing. It's going to be a A-Ninetales' Powder Snow. So this is going to be another rough one. We saw the A-Ninetales versus the Galarian Stunfisk matchup a little bit ago with the 1-0 shield situation, and this is going to be pretty rough, right? So gonna see here. I'm gonna get to the foul play here, and I'm really hoping that he shields here, just because there's an unknown Pokemon in the back. Could be an Air Slasher, could be a Skarmory, you don't know. And my opponent decides to shield. So this is fantastic, because what I do know is I've got a Venusaur with a loaded Frenzy Plant here, and I can force a 0 shield Galarian Stunfisk versus a A-Ninetales situation right here. So this is fantastic. Opponent throws energy here. This is awesome too, because now I can bring in my Venusaur, fire the Frenzy Plant to get the last shield, and then instantly swap out into the Galarian Stunfisk. And I'm going to immediately swap, so he gets no Powder Snows in, and now we're in a very dominating position, and I'm just going to throw the Earthquake here. So I'm going to take this Weather Ball here and potentially take another Weather Ball on the way to the Earthquake. And I do know here that Earthquake actually does one-shot here, whereas Rock Slide does not. So the one thing to note is that 2 Rock Slides probably will be better here. But I know he has some energy advantage from farming down my Sableye, and I don't want to be in the same position as before where I have to like bring back in Venusaur to try to get to another Frenzy Plant. That's not going to work. So I know that if I fire an Earthquake here, it's going to one-shot. And actually, a Stab Earthquake on Galarian Stunfisk with the nerfs now has a little bit better damage than a Rock Slide from a non-Stab Galarian Stunfisk. So here my opponent fires the Weather Ball, and I'm just going to go straight for the Earthquake here. Not a big deal. We're going to CMP on this Weather Ball. This is fantastic. It's not going to KO me. Going to go for the Earthquake right here, and this should take it out and get us 2-0. So we're going to be 1 win away from Legend. And you can see here, Earthquake does about 60% of Ninetales' health. If you can only get 1 move off, like I was suspecting, potentially, always go for that instead. So we're now 2-0 in the set. We need 1 more win to get to Legend. Okay, and for our final Gatekeeper and boss to get to Legend, we have IPG8. And this match is actually not going to be very exciting, because we do get the perfect alignment in this match. We're going to be leading Venusaur into Politoed. So this matchup is kind of interesting, because if you are cocky about it, the Politoed can actually one-shot you with Blizzard, so have to be very careful for that. But especially with shields up, this is a pretty dominating position, and as long as we shield properly here, the Politoed is going to be also wasting their shields trying to shield some Frenzy Plants. So the entire goal is that we are going to be able to outpace the first Frenzy Plant, so we have to see what our opponent does. I'm expecting a swap out pretty much immediately. And here my opponent is going to go into a Psychic type, and I can see that it's Hypno, to where I immediately swap into Sableye. So this is absolutely fantastic. I'm actually going to throw the Foul Play before he reaches a Shadow Ball here, and he actually throws on 4. So I know this is a punch. I am not worried about this at all. Going to take the damage here. I'm actually going to farm up a little extra just so I can reach a potential Foul Play for the next Pokemon. And right there on the second Confusion there, I'm going to throw a Foul Play. And this is going to one-shot the Shadow Hypno. So my opponent has no reason to shield here. This is a dominating matchup for Sableye, and we're in a really, really good spot because it's basically a 3v2 right now with 2 shields up. So I'm expecting the Politoed to come back in, and this Politoed has no energy. So I'm actually going to be able to reach a Foul Play right before, and I'm going to CMP right on the Weather Ball. So it's kind of important here just to make sure that he has to think about what he's going to do. He's obviously going to take this, and he's not going to shield because he's in such a bad position right now. And once again, CMP here, take the Weather Ball here, no problem. Sableye is tanky enough to take 2 Weather Balls at this position or get Munchlaxed down. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and right as I hit the 4th, we're going to CMP once again, potentially, and I'm going to go for the Foul Play. This is going to command a shield if our opponent wants to make it through here. And he's going to use this for a shield. So this is fantastic for me. We're in a dominating position, but he does Mudshot us down. So we're going to be 2 Mudshots away from a potential Blizzard. And that's exactly what my opponent does here. I have to shield this, have to respect this, because this is the only way. This is the lose condition, right? If I don't shield whatever this move is, and it's a Hail Mary Earthquake. So now I can threaten the farm down, but my opponent switches, and it's a Skarmory. So this is absolutely fantastic. We got the perfect alignment for all our Mons, and I'm just going to go straight Rock Slide. No reason to overcharge, no reason to do anything else. We want to get the Skarmory out as quickly as possible. And right now on my stream, my chat is going crazy. This is absolutely fantastic. A very nice matchup here, making sure to not let him piggyback on any kind of air slashes. And this is going to be a pretty straightforward matchup here. The only problem is that the Galarian Stunfisk and Skarmory matchup, because I need to land 4 Rock Slides to take out this Skarmory, he's actually going to be able to potentially switch back in. So right here, he's going to go for a Sky Attack, and I'm fully expecting him to go for a Brave Bird on the next one and try to catch a Rock Slide with his Politoed here. So I'm going to throw another Rock Slide here, get the Skarmory very low. And my opponent shields here. So right now, at this very moment, we actually see CMP'd. So I know that this is going to be a Brave Bird, and all I have to do is get the switch menu ready, because there is no reason for him not to bring his Politoed right now to try to take down my Galarian Stunfisk. Even if I have a shield, I have to be very careful, because he could also catch a Rock Slide, and we do not want to be put in a situation where we have to have like Venusaur versus Skarmory at the very end, right? So here, fully expecting the Brave Bird. I'm not going to shield this, because I can still take out the Skarmory with that little bit of health that I have left. He's gonna Brave Bird, and as soon as he does, I'm immediately tapping the right side of my screen to make sure I can swap, and he does. So we swap in the Venusaur. We are going to Vine Whip this thing down. This is a Weather Ball. It cannot be anything else. I'm gonna take this, no shield, no problem. And I'm gonna farm all the way down, and we're gonna use a Frenzy Plant to take it out. Venusaur is a Skarmory counter confirmed. And this is not going to KO the Skarmory, but it's going to make it very close, I think. So you can see, like, even with its typing, Frenzy Plant actually does quite a good amount. His only play is to air slash us down, but we reach the second Frenzy Plant right here, and this is going to secure us Legend. Down goes Skarmory. I'm cheering right now. I'm so happy right now because we finally crossed the barrier. This is a guaranteed one. I've never seen anybody get less than 5 points from a 3-2. So I'm very happy at this point. We get the W here, and we're gonna go ahead and just wrap up the team right now, because I do play a different team or different set of teams for my last 2 matches before I hit Legend, and there's gonna be some bonus content at the end of the video. They're not relevant to this one. So okay, and as you can see here, claiming my rank rewards, I'm at 29.95. Went that 5-0, got the 3065, broke through Legend. Getting the poses, getting the getting the dusts, getting the poses, getting the clothes, And this is a great way to wrap up the competitive part of the season for me, because I really want to try out some Spice, I really want to learn some new Pokemon, and really adapt to those mid-season changes and the upcoming GBL meta. So, as some bonus content, it would not be fun if you do not meme for the last 2 battles after you've 3-0'd and secured Legend. So, I decided to take my old friend Shadow Victory Bell across the finish line for actually the first time in my GBL life. I've never hit rank 10 or Legend before with Shadow Victory Bell, and I figured this was a great way to send it off, especially with the Razor Leaf nerf. So, gonna speed up these matches a little bit because there's not a whole lot of action or thought process here. Mainly just making small decisions over time. And here we have Victory Bell into Sableye. This is a great matchup, obviously. Sableye cannot reach 2 foul plays, and there's no reason to go for return. So my opponent still charges up to return. This is completely fine. I'm going to shield the first attack. And I'm not going to use any charge moves here. I'm just going to bank a Leaf Blade here, expecting him to bring in his hard counter right now, as he's ABA weak. Brings in a Bomb Snow, to which I answer with Sableye. I'm going to go straight for foul play here. So if he's going to farm up a bunch of energy, it's completely cool. And I'm going to try to get both shields from him if I can here, and that's what he does. So here, he actually throws energy, which I'm expecting a Weather Ball. Doesn't KO, doesn't really matter. And my opponent actually throws Energy Ball here, which puts Sableye in farm down range, but I reached the second foul play right beforehand. And likely, if it was 2 Weather Balls, probably would have done a little bit more damage here. But this is okay. We get farm down here. I'm going to wait the switch timer out. Bring in the Bastiodon when it hits down to 1 second. And the last Pokemon our opponent has is a Mudboy. So I'm going to wait for the switch timer to come out. Swap to Victory Bell, hit that Leaf Blade. Come on, guys. This team is so easy to play. It's free low. It's basically free low. And Whiscash, poor Whiscash right there, probably takes about 150% of its life right there with a Shadow Leaf Blade. And I've got the Bastiodon here with the shield here. No reason to use the shield even. Oop, a little bit of video action right there. And I'm just going to smack on down. So this is pretty fantastic here. This is how the Grassful team is supposed to work. And we're going to be able to take the win there. Spare a shield there for the next game, of course. No reason to use it in that situation. And for the final match of the set here, we're going to be running the OG Bastiodon double Razor Leaf for line. Going to be trying out that Shadow Torterra in the back to see if it makes a difference against the Glare and Stunfisk matchup. Get a fantastic lead into Galvantula to where I bring in Victory Bell to meet the Pelipper. This is kind of a tricky matchup because Pelipper will reach 2 Weather Balls in the time that it takes for us to actually KO it. And I'm going to shield 1 Weather Ball. And I'm going to try to take a second one here. This is a little bit scary here, but I have a pretty good defense-weighted Victory Bell here, and I survived by just 1 HP to maintain that switch advantage. Razor Leaf went through, so actually over-tap right here with the Galvantula coming in, but it's okay because the Galvantula is locked in. So we're going to be able to smack this thing down the entire way. And my opponent actually has to throw some energy here to be able to draw out the switch timer. So fully expecting some discharges to come my way. He actually lunges, which, to be fair, is a little bit over right now, the game. But throws a discharge and a lunge. This is great. Swaps into Rainy Cast form, to which we have Torterra to be able to meet it, and we can beat it with 1 shield. So poor opponent right here. Didn't actually get to shield anything in this game, which is unfortunate for him, but that's kind of how Grassful works. And he's going to be saving those shields for the very next match right there. Galvantula comes back in. It's a little too late, and we get to just Razor Leaf down. So it's a great way to kind of send off the OG Grassful line, just to kind of meme a little bit in my last set. But those are the 2 matches that actually secured me that 5-0. So I hope that you've enjoyed the video on my climb to rank legend. I'd like to thank all my friends that have been showing up to the stream, to the various voice chats, to be able to support me on my climb and to support each other on all of our GBL journeys for Season 6. If you like this content, feel free to subscribe or share or leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.